In this video, we're going to talk about how to test for the lack of pronation, as well as one manual technique and 2 techniques for you to perform at home to improve it. Kyle Suminski here with the Overhead Athlete. I'm one of the physical therapists here and former college baseball player. Today we just want to discuss what pronation is. Pronation is an action in the forearm. Then we see it at the end of the baseball throw when that wrist turns in, that forearm turns under. The pronator teres muscle is the major muscle in our forearm that helps with that pronation. And what pronation does is it helps pitchers with more, helps gain more accuracy, more velocity, gets you closer to the plate with pronation. Supination is the opposite direction. So when pitchers are too supinated, the ball becomes a little bit more inaccurate. And another major action of that pronator teres muscle is to stabilize elbow flexion. So that pronator teres stabilizing elbow flexion here. So when we're throwing an elbow flexion here, we're not out here. When it's not stabilizing elbow flexion, that's an increase in stress, but on the UCL, more demand there. So that pronation is a huge component to stabilizing elbow flexion, helping with accuracy, and getting closer to that target down the mound for a lot of the pitchers that we see. So one of the first things we do when assessing for pronation is we assess for restriction and we assess the range of motion. So by starting in neutral, we want to look for about 80 degrees or more is within normal limits of range of motion for pronation. So our hand holds here and we're moving into pronation, seeing how far does he get, and we're eyeballing that range of motion. You can measure it, and that's he gets to 80. He has good pronation, but he's been working on this. A lot of the Tommy John athletes that we see have a very tough time with this restriction because a lot of the fascia is tightened in here, and a lot of this around the scarring too, where that insertion comes from, and we see a lot of tightness in there. So if you like what we're talking about, hit the like button, subscribe to our page, hit the bell, you get notifications when we're posting new content. So one of the things we do to treat it is we can either, if we find the restriction in pronation, so it could either be from a tight supinator muscle. So if that supinator muscle is tight, we need to stretch into pronation, and we just have a prolonged stretch here. And we could even have them, so I would tell Max, go ahead and try and supinate your hand very gently. And I would resist him supinating and now relax. And I can take that farther into end range, which increases that end range of motion, which we're looking for in a lot of those athletes. They're stuck near the end range of that 80 degrees. Maybe they need that last 10 degrees. Or maybe they have a tight pronator muscle, so we need to stretch them into supination. It could be either one of the two. So it's the same concept with this, stretching them into supination. And I tell them, okay, now try and pronate your wrist there very gently. And I hold him right there, not giving him anything, and now relax. And I take him up farther into that range of motion, stretching the pronator. So both of those are 2 of the good stretches that we look for to increase pronation with our athletes. So now that we've shown you some of the manual techniques we do for increasing pronation, we're going to show you some stretches you can do at home and an exercise that helps increase pronation. So now we're going to show a simple stretch that you can do at home. Either a static stretch, the first one you can do, which would be Max is going to come out here. He's going to stabilize his forearm right on his thigh here. His wrist is just off his knee, and his bat, with his other hand, he's just going to press down at the bat nice and gently, and you're just going to hold right at your end range. You can hold it for whatever time you want, whether it be 30 seconds and then relax, a minute. I would suggest greater than a minute if you have those severe restrictions there. So just hang out there for a minute, and then you can have them relax there. And the other way, so same thing, letting that nice and relaxed, trying to stretch it there, and he can apply another gentle overpressure and hang out at that end range for about a minute. One of the other ones you can do is we can have him going back into pronation here. And what he can do is he can get to that end range, and I'll tell him, okay, Max, what I want you to do is press up with the bat into your fingers there, and don't let you move there. So contract, so push, 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 and now relax it. And you want to take it up even further. So you take it up even further to that range, and I'd say do it again. So now I want you to push up into that bat there. So push, 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 and then relax, and you can take it up even further. And you can do the same thing in both directions with that. So you can do the same thing in the supination. And that is a good stretch, easy at home, grabbing a baseball bat to do. And now a way to strengthen is, this is a 5-pound weight. It's the same motion. So keeping that forearm on your thigh there and going nice and slow, controlling that weight. We don't want it falling. We don't want your arm all the way off. It's nice and slow, controlling for pronation and supination there, working on the strength. And nice and easy, start off light at first, and if it's too light, then go up another pound. If that's too light, then go up another pound until you find a weight that you can feel that you can do a good amount of reps for, but you need to take a break after like 10 or 12. If you like this video, you can check out our series on bat exercises for increasing forearm strength, as well as we just had an athlete in here coming off Tommy John surgery, and he had a lack of pronation that we saw in our video analysis. If you guys are interested in the video analysis that we do, we have a corrective exercise program that specifically targets limitations in your injury. And if you want to, you send us an email at overheadathletics@gmail.com. And if you like, check out some of our other videos and content. Thank you.